Moving on to thing number two, segues right into this perfectly. We're talking third quarter GDP, fueled again by rising government spending. You call this a Potemkin economy. I'm going to need a definition on that from you. Thing number two, Gary, what the mainstream media wants you to believe about Q3 GDP.
All right, let's talk about what a Potemkin economy means. It comes from an expression, a Potemkin village. And that's from, back in the Soviet Union when they wanted to convince people that they had, these beautiful, wonderful towns. And, they tried to convince people that life there was better than it was. And so they built this town, but it wasn't real. It was just storefronts and home fronts. They just built the front of things. The buildings weren't real. The life there wasn't real. It basically was like a movie set. And so Potemkin has become sort of this derisive comment that you use when you want to say something looks good, but it's not real. And so here's why we're coming to that conclusion on GDP. Third quarter GDP came in at 2.8%. That's actually not a bad number. It was below the projected 3.1%. It was below last quarter's 3% increase. The personal consumption is a key driver. That was up 3.7%. Again, going back to the PCE, right? People are spending more. They have to spend more. Prices are still up. But it's not that 2.8% is bad. It's that 2.8% was fueled by government spending going from enormous, insane high levels up another 5%, now making up 17% of GDP. And keep in mind, that's the on balance sheet number. The off balance sheet number, when you start adding in things like the Affordable Care Act, Medicare, Medicaid, pensions, they're spending a lot more and they're accruing expenses that are not being included in this number. But the point of all this is the government is spending money in order to prop up GDP. And the spending, by the way, destroys value. They're not getting a dollar of value for every dollar they spend because, of course, they're not. The government is wasteful. It's just the way they do things. And so the reason I'm saying it's a Potemkin economy is because none of it is real. The government is printing money, throwing that money out and saying, look how good the party is. Look how much money we have in the economy, but none of it is real. It's just made up. It's just window dressing. It's not actual economic activity. It's not growth. It's not goods and services that Americans are creating.
Gary, I know there are others that are out there that would argue that, hey, this GDP growth is good. In your best attempt, what is their actual good faith argument? Because all we're seeing is that you've got situations financed by debt and inflation causing currency creation. How can they actually say that the GDP is an indicator that we are heading in the right direction?
All right. So what you want is for me to explain that without using the word lied. All right.
Yes.
Fair enough. Um, there are a couple of ways that they make that argument. One is they say, look, this is the way we've always calculated it. This is a GDP calculation. Government spending has always been part of it, and you're the one changing the definition now. Right? Okay. It's a legitimate argument. I don't agree with it, but it's factually correct. The other thing that they say is, hey, these social programs that are increasing spending or the money that we're throwing at things that, I don't think produce value. They're saying, look, we need this and this is how we run the country and we've got a big social safety net and, this is it's these people use that money and they go out and buy goods and services. So how is that not part of the economy? So that would be, kind of their good faith, not crazy answer to that. If they were arguing against me, those would be the good arguments that they would use. And, again, their arguments are factually correct, but I think nuance matters here. So, it's really easy to say, okay, well, but great. We like these social programs. We like the off balance sheet spending. We like spending money on a whole bunch of things. But this is the key point. That spending is completely financed by debt and inflation causing currency creation. The government keeps increasing its spending and they pretend that GDP growth is solely driven by genuine economic expansion. There are multiple problems with this. One, all of that spending pushes out, it crowds out the productive private market economy. So we have a shift from people who are producing and doing to people who are transferring money. That is a limited thing. You can only do that for so long. The next thing is the government wastes incredible amounts of money. We did a really funny Twitter thread a year ago, with Dr. Evil saying, I'm going to take over the country unless you give me $1 million or $100 million or $1 billion.
Right.
And then we just found ridiculous plans. Like, for instance, our government spent almost $3 million training Chinese prostitutes to drink responsibly while on the job. Why? Why are we spending
Right.
any money on this? We spent millions of dollars improving the name recognition of the Kennedy family in Massachusetts. They're the most famous family in Massachusetts. Why we're doing this, I don't know. I'm not against the Kennedys. I just don't know why we're spending money to improve their reputation. I'm pretty sure they could hire a PR person themselves. We spent $100 million on not getting refunds for plane tickets that weren't used when refunds were available. Literally, there's government employees saying, I didn't take the trip. Well, I'd have to fill out paperwork to get reimbursed. They don't do it. It's $100 million. These people waste our money, and that does matter. But the most important thing is Washington pretends that all of this spending, which they claim is creating GDP, which is increasing GDP. It's not, but that's what they claim. But they act like it has no cost. But all of this spending is debt fueled. And so, people are saying, well, wait a minute, our taxes haven't gone up. Why is this a problem? So what? The debt goes up, but we don't have to pay for that. Yeah, we do. The way we are all paying for it is through inflation. That's the real issue. So we have bought that GDP growth. We have bought those social programs. We have bought the training of Chinese prostitutes to drink responsibly. We have bought all of that through inflation. When you go to the grocery store and your bills are higher than they were a month ago and higher than they were a year ago and a whole lot higher than they were 4 years ago, this is the reason why these things have a cost and it's expensive and we are all paying for it. And they like to pretend that we're not, but there is a direct correlation between gigantic, wasteful, debt-fueled government spending and inflation. That's how we're paying for it. So it's not real GDP growth. It is simply a transfer from us to the government. This is how they steal from us. And yeah, that is, you're right, Rob. When we talk about people who have different arguments than us, we should treat them respectfully and not say that they're liars. We should treat their arguments as they intend them and address them intellectually. But when it comes to the government like this is theft. And it does make me angry. And so again, I'm telling everybody, one, go vote, and two, complain bitterly about the increase in government spending and the fact that we are paying for this. This is fraud. It's theft. You have every right to complain.
And the programs that are taking away our pet squirrels as well.
Listen, you know what? There is a reason that Peanut the squirrel resonated with people, and I'm going to tell you something. My heart went out to Fred the raccoon, to Peanut the squirrel, and to his owner, who clearly loved these animals, gave them a wonderful home. Those animals were obviously very well treated. They had wonderful lives. This was a horrible, horrible case of government overreach, of just an exercise of brutal, disgusting power. And so, it's funny to say all of a sudden, people have had this awakening about government, but like, they've abused us and increased regulations on us for years and years and years. And we took it, and now everybody's angry about a squirrel. But I don't think people are angry about Peanut the squirrel. I think Peanut the squirrel does represent something. And I understand why people are angry. And I am right there with them. And by the way, if our government really, really wants, like, they want to take killing rodents seriously, then leave the well-treated, happy, clean, fluffy pet squirrels alone. New York City is a gigantic rat problem. Go kill those rodents, and then, we'll talk about not giving you access to the pet squirrels anyway. But, if they want to take this, if they want us to take this stuff seriously, don't go after people's pets who are well treated and happy and have 1 million Instagram followers. New York City is a rat problem. Clean that up.
There we go. Again, this is the government is misleading you issue of the five things. Be sure to sign up for a free subscription on our website to get alerts on all new content posted from Gary and the team at DKI. And then we'd also love if you considered that premium subscription to be alerted on stock information, reports, trades first before anyone else, and also receive all of the access to current recommendations and any other material on our website.